Welcome to the patriarchy, where we delve into and rediscover the great men and patriarchs who shaped our culture, history, society, and our world throughout the ages. Today we are looking at the father of liberalism himself, John Locke. Now, whether you fall on the left or the right, conservative or liberal in today's society, John Locke has had a major influence in your life, so let's get into it. John Locke was born 1632 in England, is widely regarded as one of the most influential philosophers in Western thought. His ideas on government, human nature, individual rights have shaped the course of modern political philosophy and influenced the development of liberal democracies worldwide. Often referred to as the father of liberalism, Locke's contribution laid the foundation for modern concepts of liberty, democracy, and the rule of law. Through his groundbreaking works, particularly two treatises of government and an essay concerning human understanding, Locke established principles that continue to resonate in political theory and practice today. At the core of Locke's philosophy was his view on human nature and the state of nature, a concept he explored in depth in his second treatise of government. Unlike his contemporary, Thomas Hobbes, who argued that humans in the state of nature were driven by self-interest and constant conflict, Locke offered a more optimistic view. Locke believed that in the natural state, humans were inherently reasonable and guided by natural law which governed their behavior. This natural law, according to Locke, was the law of reason, which dictated that individuals should not harm others in their life, health, liberty, or possessions. Locke's state of nature was not one of chaos, but a condition where people were free to pursue their interests without interference from government. However, this freedom was not absolute. Since there were no established authorities or institutions to enforce the law, individuals had to rely on their own judgment and ability to resolve disputes. This could lead to conflicts, as people could interpret natural law differently. To resolve these issues, Locke argued, individuals would come together to form a social contract, establishing a government to ensure the protection of their natural rights, life, liberty, and property. Locke's theory of social contract was a revolutionary idea that contrasted sharply with the prevailing political philosophy of his time. In his two treatises of government, Locke argued that the legitimacy of government came not from divine right or a monarch's power, as was commonly believed, but from the consent of the governed. People agreed to form a government to protect their natural rights and to create laws that would ensure peace, stability, and justice. Unlike Hobbes, who believed in absolute sovereign with nearly unchecked power, Locke's government was one of limited authority. The role of government, according to Locke, was to act as a neutral party that protected the natural rights of individuals and administered justice. The power of government, Locke argued, should be derived from the consent of the people, and its purpose was to secure the life, liberty, and property of each individual. If the government failed to do so, or violated the terms of the social contract, Locke believed that the people had the right to revolt and establish a new government that would better serve their interests. This idea of government by consent and the right of the people to revolt was groundbreaking and laid the intellectual groundwork for democratic movements in the centuries that followed. Locke's political theory directly influenced the American Revolution, as his ideas on separation of powers and the importance of protecting individual rights were woven into the fabric of the U.S. Constitution and the Bill of Rights. One of Locke's most significant contributions to political philosophy was his theory of property, which he outlined in his second treatise of government. Locke argued that property rights were essential to individual liberty. According to Locke, property was not simply a product of human labor, but something that the individual had a natural right to acquire and preserve through their efforts. In the state of nature, Locke believed individuals had the right to claim ownership of resources by mixing their labor with them. For example, if an individual gathered fruit from a tree or cultivated land, the labor they invested in these activities gave them legitimate claim to the resource. Locke's theory of property was not without limits, however. He famously stated that individuals should only take as much property as they could reasonably use and that they should leave, quote, enough and as good for others. This concept of proviso ensured that property rights did not lead to the exploitation and deprivation of others. Locke's views on property helped shape the capitalist economic system, emphasizing the importance of individual ownership, labor, and enterprise. John Locke's ideas on government, individual rights, and property have an enduring impact on political thought and modern governance. His assertions that all individuals are born with natural rights, including life, liberty, and property, laid the intellectual foundation for the development of human rights. Locke's emphasis on limited government and the protection of individual rights has shaped the democratic principles of the modern Western societies. Locke's philosophy deeply influenced the American and French revolutions. Thomas Jefferson drew heavily on Locke's ideas when writing the Declaration of Independence, particularly the assertion that individuals have the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Locke's vision of government, based on the consent of the governed, and his arguments for the separations of power were key principles that informed the design of the U.S. Constitution. In addition, Locke's ideas helped to shape the political philosophy of liberalism, which advocates for individual freedoms, market economy, and limited government intervention. Locke's emphasis on individual rights, such as freedom of speech, freedom of religion, and the right to property, forms the foundation of liberal democratic societies today. In addition to his political philosophy, John Locke made significant contributions through study of knowledge. His work on essays concerning human understanding challenged prevailing ideas about human cognition and perception. Locke argued that the human mind at birth is a tabula rasa, a blank state, that the knowledge is acquired through experience. This theory of knowledge posited that all ideas come from sensory experience and reflection. Locke's ideas on knowledge have had a lasting impact on the fields of psychology, education, and philosophy. His theory of knowledge influenced later philosophers such as George Berkeley, David Hume, and even Immanuel Kant. Locke's emphasis on the reason and experience as the foundation of knowledge helped shape the scientific revolution and the development of modern scientific method. John Locke's philosophical ideas on government, individual rights, and the nature of knowledge have had a profound and lasting influence on Western thought. As a key figure in the development of liberalism, Locke's theories about natural rights, government by consent, and the rule of law continue to shape democratic systems around the world. His views on property, individual liberty, and the role of government are integral in modern political discourse, and his contributions have shaped our understanding of human cognition. Locke's work remains a cornerstone of modern political philosophy and continues to inspire debates about freedom, justice, and the proper role of government in society today.